to NEC's Cutting Edge Playhouse, where we will be interviewing our 4 finalists. Today, we will be speaking with Charles White, writer of Unentitled. Welcome and congratulations. Yay for being
Thank you
here.
very much.
Tell us a little bit about your play. Maybe read the log line for us.
The name of the play is Unentitled. Logline: unemployed attorney Frank Saunders risks his marriage when he attempts to sell a summer home owned by his wife's family in order to fund his own business venture.
So I understand you are an attorney.
Yes.
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 So how did an attorney get from the courtroom to the typewriter of a playwright?
It started out in reverse. I wrote in college. I was on the college newspaper, and I also was in a creative writing program. And when I was graduating, I thought, oh, I got to get my career started. And my mother said, well, if you're going to be a writer, you're going to starve. You need to be a doctor or a lawyer. Those are my choices. Now, doctor or a lawyer, or I'm not having it. So I said, well, maybe she's right. So maybe I'll go to law school and I'll just write on the side. So I went to law school, and you know what happens? Once you get into a legal career, it's so time consuming. You really don't have time to do anything else. And so I put writing on the shelf for like a few decades. And then with a little bit of motivation from some friends, I got back to writing. I said, you know what? I've been suppressing this for a long time. If I don't do it now, it'll never happen. So I just started writing probably about 12 years ago.
How many plays have you actually written? I know you've won some awards and you're doing a lot of writing.
I have completed 5 full-length plays and a number of 10-minute plays. I'd have to count. I don't know how many 10-minute plays, probably maybe around 5 or 10 as well. Awesome. And a couple more full-length plays in the works.
So when you got the call that you were one of the finalists for our Emerging Playwrights competition, how did you feel? What did you do? What did you say? Tell us about that moment.
Well, first I was surprised because, the arts is really a world of rejection. I mean, actors, writers, whoever, you get a lot more no than yes. And so when you get a yes, it's sort of like, oh, it's like first it's like you're in denial, like, no, maybe something's wrong. Maybe they meant to call somebody else. And then once you get past that, of course, you're really elated. You're really happy about it, particularly with an organization like NEC that has such a history. So no, I was really excited. Once I got to accept the fact that it was really me that they wanted, I was then quite happy about it.
Nice. Were you alone, or were you with someone else, or were you at work? Like, where were you?
I've been working from home for the past, since COVID, past year and a half. Okay. And when I got the call, I was at home and I had just sort of finished my work day.
Nice.
My work day, and I hadn't quite gotten up from the desk yet, and then I got the call. And no, so it was just me. I was home alone. It was fabulous. Like I said, once I got to the point of it's really serious, that this is not a dream, I was really happy about it.
So I know you're familiar with the legacy of NEC. So what does it mean to you to be selected and to have your play being produced by NEC?
Well, so I don't even know if I've grappled with the entire thing of it, but I was a NEC member way back when they had a theater over in the West 50s. Mm-hmm. And I was a subscriber back. And this would have been the 80s.
Okay.
And Douglas Turner Ward, Robert Hooks, all these really, really famous names. The fact that I am going to be associated with the organization that was really spawned by those people, it's fairly amazing, because I don't see myself, anywhere near that level. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm getting a shot to be somewhere to start approaching this. I mean, it's intimidating to some extent, because they're amazing, and it's like, can I ever be amazing? How about average?
You are amazing. Don't ever forget that. Well, you are.
I hope you're right.
You are. So you'd say that 12 years ago you went back to writing. Well, when was it that you first knew that you really wanted to be a writer? And I know you said that earlier about your mom telling you to do, but what was your first bug?
It's funny. That's a hard one. I know. Well, actually, in high school, I was on the student newspaper as well, and I was on the yearbook staff that wrote essays in the yearbook. So I knew I had some facility at writing. I hadn't quite picked the genre. Like, would it be drama? Would it be short stories? Would it be journalism? So I knew I wanted to write at a fairly early age, but I didn't. I didn't focus on what type of writing. Now, I think had I been more astute at that young age, I would have realized it was plays because again, my mother, very pivotal in my development, dragged me to Broadway shows when I was a kid. And I've been a theater fan and patron of the arts for a long time. And I should have known that as much as I enjoyed plays, it should have occurred to me that, hey, maybe you can do this. And I really put that off for a long time. But I've been going to theater since I was, oh my God, 6, 7, 8.
And so given the play, and it does center around a lawyer, and I know it's not you, but what inspired you to write about the particular subject that's happening in the play with this particular lawyer?
Well, a lot of plays we see, the Black people are downtrodden. We're slaves, we're domestics, we're getting beaten up, we're getting killed. And so I said, let me write about some Black people that are successful, but still are going through some trials and tribulations. And so when I wrote it, this was during the recession. And I actually knew a bunch of lawyers who had been laid off. And gentrification was sort of happening in certain communities. And so I wanted to write about gentrification, which is in the play. And then I wanted to say, okay, what happens to, an upscale Black person when he or she is under some financial pressure? What would that force them to do? And that's how I came up with this story, where you've got sort of a working class achiever as your protagonist. And then the wife's family is sort of well off and they own a home. And he's thinking, okay, I'm in financial straits, but if we sell this home, in the period of gentrification where we can make a lot of money, we can sell this house, I can take this money and I can start my own business and become a great entrepreneur, et cetera, et cetera. So that's sort of took off in that direction. Just looking at sort of like financial pressure and gentrification.
And also you touch on legacy too, which I thought was interesting how you weave that into the story. So
yeah, that's the conflict. It's like, what's more important, legacy or instant cash?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I love that you have all these different roads that the characters get to travel on just under this subject, and the differences between being rich and being poor, because that's real. So I thought that was really good that you actually did that. If you had the opportunity to sit with a professional writer, and not to say that you're not a professional, but a writer that's been published and been on Broadway to that extent, is there one thing that you'd want to ask them or that you'd want to know as you're on your way to that same success?
And this is the question, I guess I'd love to ask this to the late Lorraine Hansberry, August Wilson, the current Lynn Nottage. Do you wait for inspiration to write, or do you just decide, you pick a topic or pick something that you'd like to explore and just start writing? Again, I guess my thought is, if you wait for inspiration, it just may not be there when you need it. So I just wonder, for instance, take August Wilson, where he wrote about every decade of the 20th century. What really inspired him to do that? Was that the beginning, or did he write a couple of plays that sort of ended up in certain decades? He said, "Oh, I'll just fill out the decades." I wonder how he came to that conclusion that he would do that.
That would be an interesting question, because it seems like those things transcend even now.
Yeah, and to do it with such wild success, I might add.
Exactly. Well, you're on your way. So tell us, what does your family think about your writing?
They are really, really supportive. My son's an actor, and he actually has asked me to write a TV pilot for him. So it's one of the things I'm working on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And my daughter, she has a day job, and she writes freelance magazine articles. So she's very supportive.
Oh, no.
And my wife, in terms of giving up my apartment, giving up the apartment, giving up time, she absolutely steps aside and lets me do it. She's very encouraging. And I might add about my daughter. In high school, my daughter won an essay contest for Scholastic Magazine and was awarded $10,000. So my daughter at 17 has made more money than I have in my entire writing career.
Right? No better role model than your dad and doing similar work
Yeah.
that your dad is doing. I think that's beautiful. I'm a daddy's girl, so I'm a little prejudiced right now.
Yeah. She'll surpass me. I have no doubt about that. So
Yeah, yeah. You, in writing it, did you have any regrets about not writing for a prolonged period of time? 'Cause I know,
I think about that a lot. Like, for instance, like I said, I remember my mother's mandate: you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer. I didn't get you in college to be a writer and starve. Like, the starving artist thing was just not happening with my mother. That was not going to be it. So I thought, like, if I had said, no, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm going to be a starving artist and I'm just going to write. I guess my thought is, had I done that, I would be further along in my career. But certainly, had I started then, I hadn't had the life experience that would have really contributed to that many interesting stories. There's more. I'm more mature now, hopefully.
now we all want to stay 5, stay creative.
And I've got more perspective on things. I mean, now I have things to write about. And I think if I had started when I was like, 19, 20, 21, I guess I could have written about college and about high school, and maybe that would have been okay. But the point of view just wouldn't have been very sophisticated. So I'm torn about that. Like I said, I think I'd be a more developed writer, but a lot of the early stuff would have been like, my God, what garbage. So I'm torn on that.
Okay. Well, it's good to be torn about something. It gives us internal conflict that you can actually in turn put it in your writing, right?
Yes, so exactly. More to write about.
Yeah. So before we close, I want to thank you so much for your time and congratulations again. Is there anything that we didn't talk about, or just something you want to let the audience know about yourself that you'd like to say now? Go ahead.
Oh, I can't think. I mean, the thing about this is, I'd see myself as being an average guy who's worked pretty hard and gotten kind of lucky. So I don't really see myself as special. I'd love to become special. I just don't think I'm there yet. But what I look forward to, what I love about this opportunity is that I'm very fond of this particular play. And I know it has flaws. And I think working with NEC, under a dramaturg, I'll be able to iron out a lot of the flaws and make it a much better play and much more marketable. So I'm really, really happy about that.
And that's the key. Well, you are special because you are 4 out of many. So pat yourself on the back for that. And the process, as you spoke about, is going through the whole real process of like being not criticized, but like judged so that you can make your play better when you work with a dramaturg. So you are in for a ride, my brother, and I'm so happy and elated for you with this play. It's a really, really, really good play, and it's a good play to go through the process. So congratulations, and we'll catch you on a next chat with our emerging playwright winners.